Admiral Stone of the Galactic Council sat in his command chair, his 4 eyes fixed on the holographic display before him. His scaled fingers drummed against the armrest as he watched the unusual energy signatures pulse across the screen. The readings came from a previously unexplored sector of space, where a new spacefaring species had been discovered. "High Commander," a young officer named Blue spoke up, his antennae twitching nervously. "The energy patterns from these human vessels, they're unlike anything in our database." Stone waved his hand dismissively. "Every young race thinks they've invented something special, Officer Blue. We've been enforcing order in this galaxy for 10,000 years. The command center of the Galactic Council's First Fleet buzzed with activity. Officers moved between stations, analyzing the strange readings coming from Earth's defense fleet. The massive window at the front of the bridge showed the darkness of space, dotted with the familiar purple engines of Council vessels. "Sir," another officer called out, "Intelligence Division has sent a priority message regarding the human ships." Stone sighed. These constant interruptions were getting on his nerves. "Display it," he ordered. The holographic screen filled with warning markers. Asterisk priority alert. Human vessel analysis asterisk. Asterisk multiple power signatures detected from single ships asterisk. Asterisk unknown material composition in hull structure asterisk. Asterisk warning. Standard containment protocols may be insufficient asterisk. Asterisk recommended. Additional study before engagement asterisk. "Delete that nonsense," Stone commanded. "I've contained 17 different species in my career. These humans will be no different." In his 40 years of service, Stone had seen countless new races try to resist the Council's authority. All of them eventually submitted to the natural order of things. These humans would learn their place, just like all the others. "Prepare the standard containment formation," he ordered. "Let's show these newcomers how things work in civilized space." Officer Blue hesitated before speaking again. "Sir, if I may, the human ships appear to have multiple reactor cores. Our scans can't even determine their main power source." "Multiple reactors," Stone laughed. "What a waste of resources. This only proves their primitive nature. No advanced civilization would build ships so inefficiently." The fleet of 20 Council warships moved into position, their sleek purple hulls reflecting the distant starlight. Each ship was a marvel of efficient design, with a single powerful reactor core and optimized weapon systems. They had brought order to countless worlds. On the main screen, the human vessels appeared. They looked odd, with thick hulls and strange protrusions that seemed to serve no purpose. Stone counted 10 ships in total, all of different sizes and designs. Unlike the Council's standardized fleet, each human vessel appeared unique. "Send the standard warning message," Stone commanded. "Inform them that resistance will only make things worse for their species." As the message was transmitted, one of the senior analysts, Officer Red, approached Stone's chair. "Sir, I've been studying their communication patterns. The humans have been broadcasting a message of their own, repeating it on all frequencies." "Oh, what does it say?" Stone asked, more amused than interested. Red cleared his throat and read from his display. "To all approaching vessels. Human ships are no ordinary vessels. Aggressive actions will be met with appropriate response. We seek peaceful contact, but are prepared for all contingencies." The command center filled with laughter. Stone smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "How dramatic of them. All new races think they're special. Begin the containment procedure. Target their engines with ion pulses. Standard procedure." The Council fleet moved forward, weapons charging. Officer Blue watched the human ships with growing concern. Something about their design bothered him. The way they seemed built like fortresses rather than ships. "Sir," Blue tried one last time. "The emergency analysis team is strongly recommending we." "Enough." Stone slammed his fist down. "I will not have my authority questioned over some primitive vessels. These humans will learn their place, just like all the others. Begin the attack." As the Council fleet advanced, their purple engines glowing brightly against the black of space, none of them realized they were about to learn a harsh lesson about human engineering. The warning they had ignored was about to become painfully relevant. The first shots were about to be fired, and the galaxy would never be the same. The human diplomatic vessel Peaceseeker moved slowly through space, its unusual design catching the attention of every alien officer on the Council fleet's observation deck. Unlike the sleek, purple Council ships, the human vessel looked like a fortress made of overlapping metal plates. Officer Blue stood at his scanning station, his antennae twitching as he studied the readings. Something wasn't right. The numbers made no sense. "Commander Stone," Blue called out, his voice shaking slightly. "I'm detecting multiple power cores in their diplomatic vessel. At least 3 distinct energy signatures." Stone walked over, his scaled face showing irritation. "That's impossible. Show me the readings." The holographic display lit up with streaming data. The human ship's energy patterns pulsed in strange ways, showing layers of power systems running simultaneously. What confused the alien observers most was that none of these systems appeared to be the main power source. "Sir," Officer Red joined them, holding a datapad. "The human ship is requesting permission to send a diplomatic team. They're broadcasting engineering specifications as a gesture of good faith." Stone grabbed the pad and scrolled through the information. His 4 eyes widened, then narrowed in disbelief. This must be fake. They claim their ships have no single critical system. Everything has a backup, and those backups have backups. "Look at their hull design." Blue pointed to the screen. "Those aren't decorative patterns. They're layers of independent armor sections. If one part fails, the others compensate." The command center grew quiet as more data came in. The human ship's design challenged everything the Council knew about spacecraft engineering. Where Council ships focused on efficiency and elegance, the human vessel seemed built like a mechanical fortress. "Incoming transmission from the human ship," announced the communication officer. A calm human voice filled the command center. "Council vessel, this is Captain Walker of the Peaceseeker. We understand our ship designs may seem unusual to you. We'd be happy to explain our engineering philosophy." Stone pressed the response button. "This is Commander Stone. Your vessels appear inefficient, wasteful. No advanced civilization builds ships this way." "Commander," Walker replied patiently, "in human engineering, we have a saying: no single point of failure. Our history taught us harsh lessons about backup systems." As they talked, more human ships appeared at the edge of sensor range. Each one showed the same bizarre energy readings: multiple power cores, redundant systems, and layered defenses. Officer Green, the youngest on the bridge, spoke up from his station. "Sir, I've analyzed their weapon systems. They don't just have backups. They have different types of weapons covering each other's weaknesses." "That's absurd," Stone scoffed. "The energy cost alone would be—" "Sir," Blue interrupted, his voice urgent. "One of their smaller ships just had what looked like a power failure in one section. But the ship's operations didn't even pause. It just switched to another system instantly." The Council officers watched in amazement as the human vessel continued its patrol, showing no signs of the supposed malfunction. It was as if losing a power system was a minor inconvenience rather than an emergency. Stone's face darkened with anger and confusion. These humans were breaking all the rules of proper spacecraft design. Their ships weren't elegant or efficient. They were overbuilt, redundant, and somehow still functioning perfectly. "Commander," Captain Walker's voice came through again, "we notice your scanning attempts. Please understand that our vessels are designed to withstand far more than simple scans. We'd prefer peaceful dialogue, but we're prepared for other outcomes." Stone's pride burned at the implied warning. How dare these newcomers act so confident? Yet, as he watched the human ships maneuver with their impossible energy readings and backup systems, a tiny spark of doubt crept into his mind. But it was too late for doubt. The orders from the Council were clear. contain this new species and bring them under proper civilization. Stone pushed aside his concerns and began preparing for what he thought would be a simple containment operation. He had no way of knowing that he was about to discover exactly why human ships were no ordinary vessels. Commander Stone stood at the center of his command bridge, his patience wearing thin. The human ships had spent the last hour demonstrating their unusual capabilities, which he saw as nothing more than showing off. "This ends now," he growled. "Open a channel to their lid vessel." The main screen flickered to life, showing Captain Walker's calm face. The human sat in what looked more like a fortified bunker than a ship's bridge, with multiple display screens showing various system readouts behind him. "This is your first and final warning," Stone declared, his 4 eyes narrowing. "The Galactic Council has maintained order in this sector for 10,000 years. You will power down your vessels and accept our authority, or face immediate containment." Walker's expression remained neutral. "Commander, we've shared our technical specifications and requested peaceful dialogue. Perhaps we should discuss." "Enough," Stone cut him off. "Your ships are an offense to proper engineering. Multiple power cores, redundant systems. These are the marks of a primitive species that doesn't understand efficiency." The human captain sighed, looking genuinely disappointed. "Commander Stone, you're focusing on efficiency when you should be thinking about survival. Every system on our ships exists for a reason." As they spoke, Officer Blue monitored the tactical display with growing concern. The human vessels had subtly shifted position, forming what appeared to be a defensive pattern. But unlike standard formations, each ship seemed positioned to cover multiple angles simultaneously. "Sir," Blue reported, "the human ships are moving into a complex defensive array. Their overlapping fields of fire suggest." "I don't need a tactical analysis of primitive vessels," Stone snapped. He turned back to the screen. "You have 10 minutes to power down your ships and prepare for boarding. This is not a negotiation." Walker leaned forward in his chair. "Commander, let me be clear. Human ships are built the way they are because we learned harsh lessons about survival. Each redundant system, each backup power core, each overlapping defense, they all exist because we lost ships and crews learning these lessons. Is that meant to frighten us?" Stone laughed. "Your overbuilt ships are nothing compared to our fleet's proven design philosophy. Efficiency and elegance will always triumph over crude redundancy." Officer Red's voice cut through the tension. "Sir, we're detecting power fluctuations in their shields." "No, wait. Those aren't fluctuations. They're cycling through different shield frequencies. It's like they're running multiple shield systems simultaneously." "Impossible," Stone muttered. But as he watched the readings, he saw it too. The human ships were somehow maintaining several layers of shields, each operating on different principles. "This is your final chance," Walker said quietly. "We've shown you our defensive capabilities as a courtesy. We've tried to explain our engineering philosophy. We've requested peaceful dialogue multiple times. What happens next is your choice." Stone's pride wouldn't let him back down now. Not in front of his crew, and certainly not in front of these primitives with their overbuilt ships. "Power up all weapons," he commanded. "Target their primary vessels first. Their redundant systems won't matter once we overload their main power cores." Officer Blue's antennae drooped. "Sir, I'm not sure they have main power cores. Every system appears to be independent and—" "Execute the containment protocol," Stone shouted. "Let's show these humans how proper warships function." As the Council fleet moved into attack position, Walker shook his head sadly. "Commander Stone, you've made your choice. Remember this moment. Remember that we warned you. Remember that we tried to explain." The human ships began powering up their systems, not 1 or 2 systems, but dozens of overlapping defenses and weapons. The energy readings were unlike anything the Council's sensors had ever recorded. The moment of truth had arrived. Stone was about to learn whether his faith in efficiency would stand against humanity's philosophy of redundancy and survival. and the humans knew exactly what the outcome would be. The first shots from the Council fleet lit up space like purple fireflies. Their ion cannons, designed to disable ship systems with surgical precision, streaked toward the human vessels. Commander Stone watched with satisfaction, expecting the primitive ships to quickly fall silent. He was wrong. The ion bolts struck the human ship shields and seemed to simply disappear. There was no shield flare, no energy discharge, nothing. What happened? Stone demanded. Where's the impact effect? Officer Blue's hands flew over his console. Sir, they're shields. They're not just energy barriers. They're using some kind of layered defense system. The first layer absorbed our ion weapons completely. Before Stone could respond, the human ships began to move. But they didn't move like normal vessels. Each ship seemed to dance through space in impossible ways, their engines firing in patterns that made no sense to Council tactical officers. How are they maintaining that mobility? Officer Red shouted. Those maneuvers should be overloading their systems. Captain Walker's voice came through the command channel, calm as ever. Commander Stone, those were warning shots you just fired. This is your final chance to stand down. Intensify the attack. Stone roared. All ships, full power to weapons. Show them what real warships can do. The Council fleet unleashed everything they had. Energy beams, plasma torpedoes, and graviton pulses filled space. It was enough firepower to disable 3 fleets of normal ships. But these weren't normal ships. The human vessels took the hits directly. Where their shields didn't absorb the attacks, their layered hull armor simply shrugged it off. And when a particularly powerful blast did manage to damage a section of a human ship, that section would seal off and a backup would activate instantly. Impossible, Stone whispered, watching his fleet's most powerful weapons prove almost useless. How are they still functioning? Officer Blue's voice shook as he reported. Sir, we just hit one of their smaller ships with enough firepower to crack a moon. But it just rerouted power through secondary systems and kept fighting. I don't think these ships even have critical systems we can target. The human ships hadn't fired back yet. They simply weathered the storm of Council weapons, demonstrating their defensive capabilities. It was like watching someone shoot at a mountain and expecting it to fall. Sir, Officer Green called out, real fear in his voice. The humans, they're powering up their weapons. The tactical display showed energy readings climbing across the human fleet. Not in the normal, steady way of standard warships, but in waves and layers, power systems building on top of each other. All ships, evasive action. Stone ordered, but he knew it was too late. His fleet had wasted their best attacks on the humans' defenses. The first human counterattack was precise and devastating. Instead of the overwhelming barrage Stone had expected, single shots targeted specific weaknesses in Council ship design. Points that would normally be protected by shields were struck exactly as those shields cycled, exploiting gaps in coverage that should have been impossible to predict. They've been studying us, Officer Blue realized aloud. While we were scanning them, they were learning every weakness in our standard design. 3 Council ships went dark in the first exchange, their single primary power cores disabled by perfectly aimed shots. Unlike the human vessels, they had no backups to switch to, no redundant systems to keep them fighting. On the main screen, Captain Walker appeared again. He looked genuinely regretful. Commander, your ships are disabled but your crews are safe. We targeted your power systems precisely to avoid casualties. Would you like to discuss surrender terms? Stone stared at the tactical display in shock. His perfect fleet, built on 10,000 years of refined engineering principles, was being systematically taken apart by vessels that violated every rule of efficient design. And they were just getting started. Commander Stone refused to accept defeat. His pride wouldn't allow it. All remaining ships, focus fire on their largest vessel. They can't possibly maintain these defenses forever. The Council ships that could still fight concentrated their attack on the human flagship Peaceseeker. Energy weapons and torpedoes converged on a single point, finally overwhelming one section of its shields. "Ha! See, they can be beaten," Stone exclaimed triumphantly. Then something unexpected happened. The damaged section of the Peace Seeker began to glow with a new energy signature. The destroyed shield didn't just regenerate, it was replaced by a completely different type of defense system. Officer Blue's hands trembled as he read the sensor data. "Sir, they just switched to some kind of gravitational defense field. It's like they planned for shield failures by building entirely different defense systems." "Impossible." Stone slammed his fist on his command chair. "No ship can have that many different defense systems. The power requirements alone would be—" "Sir," Officer Red interrupted, "the human ships are changing formation. Their engines are reconfiguring somehow." On the main display, the human vessels demonstrated their true nature. Sections of their hull shifted and moved, revealing hidden weapon ports and additional engine arrays. What looked like decorative elements transformed into new defensive systems. "Those weren't backup systems," Officer Green whispered in awe. "Those were just their first-layer systems. Everything until now. They were just testing our capabilities." Captain Walker's face appeared on the command screen again. "Commander Stone," we tried to explain. "Our ships are built with no single point of failure because space is dangerous and unforgiving. Every system has alternates, every component has backups, and every backup has a backup." As if to demonstrate this point, the human ships began activating their full array of systems. Sensor readings showed power signatures that should have been impossible. Multiple reactor types working in harmony, weapons drawing power from independent sources, and defense systems operating on completely different principles all at once. "Look at their power distribution," Blue reported, his voice filled with professional admiration despite their situation. "Each section of their ships can operate independently. You could cut one in half, and both pieces would keep fighting." Stone watched in horror as his remaining ship's attacks became completely ineffective. The humans had analyzed their weapon patterns and adapted their defenses accordingly. Each new attack was met with a different type of shield or armor system perfectly suited to counter it. "They're not just surviving our attacks," Officer Red realized. "They're learning from them. Each time we hit them, they adjust their defenses to be even more effective." The Peace Seeker moved forward, its hull now glowing with multiple layers of active defenses. Other human ships spread out, each demonstrating different combinations of their defensive and offensive capabilities. "Observe," Captain Walker said calmly. "Each of our ships is unique, Commander. We don't believe in standardized designs because every ship needs to be able to adapt to unexpected situations." To prove his point, one human ship deliberately powered down its shields. A Council ship immediately fired, scoring a direct hit. But instead of causing damage, the energy weapon was caught in some kind of containment field and redirected back at the attacker. "That's not possible," Stone muttered, watching another of his ships go dark, disabled by its own weapons. "Sir," Blue reported quietly, "I'm detecting new power signatures charging up across their fleet. Based on these readings, what we've seen so far has been less than half of their actual capabilities." Stone finally understood the truth. His fleet hadn't been fighting proper warships at all. They had been fighting mobile fortresses, each one designed to survive anything the galaxy could throw at it. And now these fortresses were ready to show their true power. The command center of Stone's flagship fell silent as the human vessels began their real attack. Gone was the careful, measured response from before. Now the humans showed exactly what their overbuilt ships could do. "Multiple weapons signatures detected," Officer Blue shouted. "They're not just using energy weapons, they're using everything at once." The human ships unleashed their full arsenal. Laser arrays fired in perfect sequence with plasma torpedoes. Graviton beams synchronized with kinetic projectiles. Each weapon was timed to hit precisely as the Council ship's defenses cycled, exploiting gaps that should have been impossible to predict. "How are they timing their attacks so perfectly?" Stone demanded, watching another of his ships go dark. Officer Red's voice shook as he answered. They've been analyzing our shield frequencies this whole time. They know exactly when our defenses are weakest. They know our ships better than we do. The Peace Seeker moved through space like a dancer, each movement precise and purposeful. Its weapons found weak points in Council ship designs that even Stone didn't know existed. One by one, his fleet's vessels lost power, their single reactor cores disabled by surgically precise strikes. "Sir," Green called out, "they're not just attacking. They're hurting us. Look at the formation." Stone saw it too late. The human ships had maneuvered his fleet into a perfect killing zone. But instead of destroying the Council vessels, they disabled them with precise hits to non-critical areas. "Warning shots incoming," Blue announced. Streams of energy fire crossed the bow of Stone's flagship, demonstrating weapon accuracy that shouldn't have been possible. The human ships could have destroyed them at any moment, but they chose not to. Captain Walker's face appeared on the main screen again. "Commander Stone, your remaining ships are surrounded. We can target any system we choose with perfect accuracy. Would you like to see a demonstration?" As if to prove his point, a single shot from a human vessel struck Stone's flagship, drilling through the shields and hitting a specific panel on the outer hull. Alarms blared as the ship's artificial gravity fluctuated for exactly 3 seconds before stabilizing. "That was your gravitational control system," Walker explained calmly. "We could have disabled it permanently, but this seemed like a clearer message. Shall we try your life support next?" Stone stared at his tactical display in disbelief. His mighty fleet, the pride of the Galactic Council's enforcement arm, had been completely outmaneuvered and outfought by ships that ignored every rule of proper design. "Sir," Blue reported quietly, "I'm reviewing their attack patterns. They haven't used the same weapon combination twice. It's like they're demonstrating different ways they could have defeated us at any time." Officer Red added, "And our database shows they're using tactics from dozens of different alien species. They've studied every major space battle in Council history." A new transmission came through, this time from a smaller human vessel that had been quietly watching the battle. "This is Dr. White of the Human Research Ship Observer. We've been cataloging your response patterns for our tactical database. Thank you for the valuable data." Stone's pride finally crumbled. His fleet was dead in space, surrounded by vessels that could destroy them at will, and the humans were treating it like a training exercise. "This is Commander Stone," he said at last, his voice heavy with defeat. "I request terms for surrender." "Acceptable," Walker replied. "Please note that rescue ships are already on their way to assist your disabled vessels. We believe in saving lives, Commander, even the lives of those who attack us." As Stone watched human rescue vessels approach his crippled fleet, he finally understood. These people hadn't built their ships with multiple systems because they were primitive. They'd done it because they'd learned lessons about survival that the Council, in all its arrogance, had forgotten. The age of elegant, efficient warships was over. The humans had changed the rules of space combat forever. 2 weeks after the battle, Commander Stone stood before the Galactic Council's high chamber. His scales had lost their shine, and his once proud posture was humbled. Behind him, displayed on the chamber's main screen, was a human ship floating peacefully next to the Council's central station. "So," the High Chancellor spoke, all 6 of their eyes fixed on Stone. "You ignored multiple warnings about human vessels." "Yes, Chancellor," Stone admitted. "I believed their design philosophy was primitive. I was wrong." The chamber's holographic display activated, showing footage from the battle. The Council members watched in silence as the human ships demonstrated their capabilities. Many of them shifted uncomfortably in their seats as they saw how easily their finest fleet had been defeated. "Tell us what you learned, Commander," the Chancellor ordered. Stone took a deep breath. "The humans don't build ships like us because they learn different lessons. Where we see backup systems as inefficient, they see them as essential. Where we value elegance, they value survival." Officer Blue, who had been called to testify, stepped forward. "If I may, Chancellor, The humans have already begun sharing some of their engineering principles. Their ships aren't just warships. They're survival vessels designed to continue functioning no matter what happens. The chamber doors opened, and Captain Walker entered, accompanied by Dr. White from the Observer. The council members straightened in their seats, paying close attention to these representatives of a species that had so thoroughly upended their understanding of spacecraft design. Captain Walker, the Chancellor addressed him, your people have requested mutual defense treaties with the Council. Yet you've proven you don't need our protection. Why seek alliance? Walker smiled gently. Chancellor, strength isn't just about winning battles. It's about preventing them. We believe sharing knowledge saves more lives than keeping secrets. Even after we attacked you, one council member asked. Especially then, Dr. White responded. Your fleet's attack taught us several weaknesses in our own designs. We've already begun implementing improvements. Every challenge is a learning opportunity. The Chancellor leaned forward. And what have we learned from this encounter? Stone spoke up, his voice firm despite his humbled status. That true advancement comes from understanding why things are done differently, not dismissing them because they don't match our preconceptions. The chamber's screens changed to show human rescue ships helping repair the Council fleet. The footage highlighted how the humans had immediately switched from combat to assistance, their ship's multiple systems perfectly adapted for rescue work. The humans don't just build redundant systems for combat. Officer Blue explained. Every system serves multiple purposes. The same power core that runs their weapons can be redirected to help a damaged ship maintain life support. Their ships aren't just prepared for war, they're prepared for anything. The Chancellor nodded slowly. Then perhaps it's time for the Council to learn new ways. Captain Walker, we accept your offer of alliance and technological exchange. There's one more thing, Walker added. We request that Commander Stone not be punished. Stone's head snapped up in surprise. Walker continued, his actions, while misguided, have led to this moment of understanding between our peoples. Sometimes the best teachers are our mistakes. The Chancellor considered this, then nodded. Agreed. Commander Stone will be reassigned to work with the human engineering teams. Let his experience serve as a lesson to others. As the chamber session ended, a new message was being transmitted to every military academy in Council space. Remember the Battle of First Contact. Remember why human ships are no ordinary vessels, and remember that true wisdom comes from learning from those who do things differently. Stone watched as human and Council engineers began working together on the station outside, their different approaches already creating new possibilities. The elegant simplicity of Council designs merged with human redundancy principles, promising a future where ships would be both efficient and unimaginably resilient. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly what it needed.